It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm beginning to feel like Nima. I'm constantly in one traffic or the other. I'm wondering what is happening. It's annoying. Today, remember the last time I was on the show, I got late. So I've been taking a different route. And every time I try and get on my map to just make sure. This morning, I was like, well, I mean, we've been going this route for a week.
And nothing happened.
Fine. Sisters.
That's not today.
Right there. A big container right in the middle of the road and caused a 20-minute delay or so. So,
Really?
yeah, I'm rushing again. I don't like it. Universe of Lagos, please mind yourself.
Let me come quickly. How are you doing, Tokwe?
I'm very good. My kids say, Mommy, we cannot trust Google anymore. Google will say that it's 10 minutes and then it becomes 30 minutes. Yeah. So I think that Nigerians, the kind of traffic we're experiencing in Lagos defies the logic of Google's algorithms.
Predictability.
Yeah. You know, anything can happen. But I'm happy to be here and we don't have time. So.
How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I'm working on new things coming your way soon. So
Like a busy crop top.
I didn't see the crop top on TV.
I have a busy crop top.
They can't see
This
the
is crop top. We can see, a lot of...
It's vacation body loading.
Hey. All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Now we're going to start with the nation. Wide acclaim greets service chiefs, other appointments. NDLEA NAFDAC board not dissolved, says federal government. Tinubu in Paris for global summit. Naiti raises more dust over NNPCL 60 million daily petrol consumption claim. Emefiele will flee if admitted to bail, AGF DSS tell court. Nakon Nema back to Vice President's office. EFCC quizzes Autumn. Governor rides bicycle to inspect hospital in disguise. Okay, which story are we starting with in the nation?
Okay, now we start with
He's riding bicycle.
Give us
Governor of Sokoto State, Ahmed Aliyu Sokoto, he paid an unscheduled visit to a specialist hospital, the specialist hospital in the state, because I think he had been hearing complaints, so he wanted to ascertain the quality of the hospital. He rode on a keke, and they said that he got there about midnight, went straight to the wards. He noticed that many of the patients were using torchlights just to see their way around because there was no light. Most of the nurses were sleeping or sitting outside, and then those others were sitting outside because of the darkness, and also they didn't want to be bitten by mosquitoes. He interviewed a few people. They told him that the hospital hadn't had light for 9 months. Have been in that state for 9 months. He said, you know, the dilapidated facilities, erratic power supply, manpower, dearth of manpower, lack of functional medical equipment. Anyways, he has said that he has sent a message to the management of the hospital so that they can do something about what he has discovered, best solutions to it. I'm happy the thing didn't say, oh, we're going to punish. It just went on to say we need to find ways to remedy what we have.
The power holding something.
Or the chief medical director.
But I like this, you know, the atmosphere is let's remedy what is not
Yes,
working.
and that's why we say that if they are involved in this, they would see the problems and know what to
If
solve.
that's their
But if you
hospital.
have options, yes. If you use the hospitals,
hospitals,
you
you
know
know.
what they are facing. You know the challenges they are facing.
Okay, so just to clarify, the Director of Information from the Office of the Secretary to the Government, Mr. Willie Bassi, has clarified that NAFDAC and NDLEA, both agencies are exempted from the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's approval of dissolving the federal government's boards and agencies. According to him, those two agencies are completely exempted from it, and many of us can always deduce the fact that NDLEA has been working, and obviously the and NDLEA and NAFDAC have also been working, and they've chosen to keep the agencies as is, and those are not part of the dissolution that happened a few days ago.
Okay, so the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, last night released former Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State after grilling him for over 10 hours at their Makodi office. They said the ex-governor had earlier at about 10 a.m. reported at the zonal office of the commission following an invitation from the office. They also said he was invited to answer allegations relating to his 8-year stewardship as governor of Benue State. Now, after spending the entire day at the commission, he was seen driven out of the EFCC office in a sports utility vehicle, that's the SUV, at about 7:55 p.m. He was accompanied by some friends and associates who had waited patiently nearby hotel for his release. So he said they tried to reach him for comments, but he had, spoken earlier to say that he was not arrested. So this was by his media aide, Mr. Teva Akase, saying that he was not arrested by the anti-graft agency, that contrary to the insinuations on, public space that he was arrested, he actually went there by himself because he was invited to come and ask questions about his stewardship. And he had said that he was going to stay in the country for about 6 months in case they need him to come and answer any questions. He's not afraid. He doesn't have anything he had done. If anybody has evidence of what he had done wrong during his time, can present it. Is readily available to, respond to any of their questions and inquiries, basically.
So I was going to take the story of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has returned the two agencies to the Vice President's office. Under the last administration, the former President Muhammadu Buhari had taken NACO, that is the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, and placed it under the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then they placed the ministry, the NEMA, that's the National Emergency Management Agency, under the Ministry of Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster Management. And according to the administration, this doesn't conform with the law that establishes those two agencies. It was meant to be under the Vice President's office, so it has now been returned to the Vice President's office. They said the President also said that all the number of technical and administrative aids that would be needed to work with the Vice President to make him effective have been assigned to him to discharge his responsibilities.
They've also put the proper structure
yes,
of the Vice President can be effective.
Yes.
So it's not just going to be...
It's not a title, or, they have activities.
Okay, moving on now to The Punch. New service chiefs, 100 military generals may be retired. Emefiele's detention backed by court order, says DSS. Flood sacks residents from Ogun communities. PDP holds reconciliation party, Wike others absent. FG votes 24 billion naira for 10th National Assembly members' accommodation. Naira closes 756 naira to the dollar as trading rises at official window, and state external debt rises to 3 trillion naira. Okay.
So we can start with the flood. So they said the landlords and residents are crying for help after flood forced them to abandon their homes and properties in the communities in Ifo local government area of Ogun State. So according to Punch, when they gathered information, they said communities included Okearu, Matogbu, Olambe, Keredolu, Igbaotun, Araromi, Okeado, and Adio Alausa. Those are areas that really have the flooding issue. And they said the rainy season has also compounded the situation. They are facing a lot of hard times. A lot of them had to leave their houses to temporary accommodation elsewhere before they come back. They said most of the people in the environment, some of their houses are built like in the valleys. So when water gathers there, you see water there for as long as 4 to 5 months and nothing is happening there. Some landlords will wait till the water dries out and then they'll sell the property to unsuspecting persons and leave the community. So they're asking for help seriously. I think 2 persons have died in that community as a result of that flooding.
Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. Who has a story?
Yes, I do. So the PDP is trying to, reconcile all their stakeholders and members. They had a meeting on Tuesday. It's supposed to be like a reconciliation meeting. They said that they had a few of their prominent members there. Former Senate President Bukola Saraki, the immediate past governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel, was there. Many of them were there except for the former governor of Sokoto and Rivers State, that's Nyesom Wike and Aminu Tambuwal. They were not at the meeting, but they said they are calling the meeting really so that they could, look through what happened with the elections and also see how they can, better position themselves for for future challenges. They also said that they were quite happy. They gave like a review of their performances so far, especially the elections. They said in state houses of assembly, we have 342 members. They have 116 members, House of Reps. In the Senate, they have 36 members and 13 governors. They also believe that their principal, Atiku Abubakar, actually won, the election. They said that the tribunal cases in Kaduna, Nasarawa, Ogun, Kaduna, and Sokoto states, they believe will be in their favor. That is not the time to be pointing fingers at each other, but, a time for them to reconcile and work together for their party.
So the government is talking about the impact of the Naira devaluation that is going to push the Nigerian exports to about 42 trillion Naira, saying that, of course, we know last week there was an abolishment of segmentation. So all money deposits and all the bureau de change must be trading at the same rate. They said so. Naira fell from 471, which was the official window, to 664, closing the week at 663. And based on this, according to the expectation that there would be more dollar available, exports would increase, and importers and exporters will now be able to get true value for their products that they export. So they're expecting that there will be an increase in our exports to the tune of 41.99 trillion Naira by the end of this year. And it looks good for us.
Okay, so in a related story, the state's external debt may rise to almost 3 trillion, and this is because of also this floating of the Naira. According to this report, as of December 2022, the debt profile for the 36 states was $4.4 billion, which is about 2.09 trillion as of the 471 Naira to the dollar. But with this new floating, it's coming to almost 2.96 trillion Naira, with the 663 to the Naira. So it's going to affect the external debt.
Because we have, yeah.
That's the real value of the Naira that we... Okay, moving on now to Daily Sun. PDP's reconciliation talks suffer setback. Imo. PDP accuses the defected SWC members of mismanaging 1.4 billion Naira campaign funds. I feel like a tiger ready to chase away all criminals, says acting IGP. Cardinal Onayekon hails change of service chiefs. Editors committed to defense of democracy, press freedom, says NGE. Ramfak wants 36 states assembly to amend relevant laws. Atiku PDP closed case challenging Tinubu's victory. Naiti praises Tinubu's determination to end subsidy regime. And Enugu Ruguba Tribunal dismisses Naji's petition against Mba and Adioga. Okay.
Yes, so the Acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Agbetokun, was declared his readiness to handle his new task. This was at his decoration with his new rank by the Vice President. He said that now that I've just been decorated, I look forward to taking over tomorrow at 11, that's today at 11 a.m. And he says that I really can't describe how I feel presently, but if I have to say anything, I will tell you that right now I feel like a tiger inside of me, ready to chase away all the criminals in Nigeria. Wow. And at another time, I feel like a lion in me, ready to devour all the internal enemies of Nigeria. That's my feeling right now.
He's feeling
Conqueror, the lion is here.
In fact, that's the one.
That's the word. Anyway, we have the outgoing IGP who says that he's happy that he's handing over to someone that he knows, that they've worked together, they've grown together in the job. He's been his boss, and he has worked under him twice, so he's confident that he's handing over to someone that can
Let's see how that goes.
Okay, any other story in Sun?
Yeah. So the Executive Secretary and the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparent Initiative, that's the NAITI, Dr. Oji Ogunaya, was applauding the move that the subsidy being gone, said that anybody entertaining the thoughts of bringing back subsidy, which was a ruinous subsidy payment, should perish the thought, said that what the next step should be, what the money being saved from subsidy, how we're going to channel it into producing, providing major infrastructure, building roads, electricity, security, healthcare, jobs, general well-being for Nigerians. Also said the next thing will be to study the consumption. He said it will depend on the knowledge, capacity of data, and prudent application of resources. He said the government needs to also ameliorate the pain of Nigerians, but that is totally with the no going back on subsidy removal. Said that over time, the figures being thrown up are not correct concerning our consumption, and that he believes that with the subsidy being removed and the incentives for ballooning the consumption figures taken out, that we would begin to see a more realistic figure of what our consumption actually is. And he's on the dissolution of the NAITI board, because, you know, our current president had dissolved almost all the boards except for 2. He said that he's of the opinion that they would meet with the SGF to discuss how vital it is to reconstitute a board and how to get around the challenges of not having a board right now.
Okay, moving on now to Vanguard. Presidential poll, Tinubu opens defense June 30th. Atiku Obi closed cases on Friday. Over 6,000 Nigerian doctors lost to UK in 6 years, says International College of Surgeons. EFCC releases ex-governor Tom after 10 hours of grilling. Anxiety as ex-depot petrol price rises to 490 per litre. Confab, we're committed to press freedom, defense of democracy, says editors. NGE, NDLEA General Ogunewe retired. Porter Novelli congratulates Eze Nanaba. Why we oppose Nnamdi Kanu's request for access to his medical records, says DSS. Excuse me. I feel like a tiger ready to devour criminals, acting IGP Egbetokun. Okay, which story are you starting with?
I think I'll do the emefiele story here. So the Department of State Services told the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, that the suspended CBN governor would be at flight risk if granted bail, that he would likely run away if they give him bail. So they said the service, which, like the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, OAGF, also defended his continued detention and kept saying that he's at a flight risk. I think they submitted 2 counter affidavits in that, insisting on the same thing. So they said that, 1, his life was not in any danger to warrant him being granted bail. And if he's granted bail, that could interfere with the investigations. And so they are not going to be doing that. They also, talked about the fact that he was not arrested because of his monetary policies. That was not the case. But they mentioned why he was taken, and they said he was arrested upon reasonable suspicion of committing acts which constitute a criminal breach of trust, incitement to violence, criminal misappropriation of public fund, economic sabotage, economic crimes of national security dimension, and undermining the security of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And, they had gotten, 14 days detention for him when they understood that investigating him would take quite some time. And so after all the investigations is done, and he's charged to court, then they will take it up from there. But for now, he's not in any form of danger. They also said that because he had claimed that they did not allow his lawyers and his family members to see him, they also said that was not the case.
So I want to take the story about Nnamdi Kanu. The Department of State Services has asked the federal government sitting to dismiss the application for his access to his medical records. They also defended why they have opposed giving Nnamdi Kanu access to is the medical record. They said, number one, he's eating well. They showed off his eating, his schedule, that he had his choice of meals prepared for him. They also mentioned that he had access to medical doctors that were checking on him, to his, but they didn't allow him access to, they have allowed unhindered access to his private physician. Ozekame, arguing for Nnamdi Kanu, said that the doctor said if he doesn't get proper medical care, he might die, and that they know while they are trying to ensure they get justice served, they can only get justice served to a man who is alive. He also mentioned that the DSS are talking about conducting ear surgery, and that is not, then he spoke about the fact that there's a 500 million naira damages that was awarded to him for the extraordinary rendition of the application from Kenya. So they're asking their implementation of that. The 500 million naira should be paid, and they seek his doctors to have time to see him so that they can get him proper medical care.
Right.
Yes, I have the International College of Surgeons Nigerian section, the ICSNS. They had a communique was...
Go ahead.
Okay. So they're talking about how many doctors our country has lost to the UK. They said no fewer than 6,221 doctors have been lost to the UK in the last 6 years, and they gave a few reasons why they think this is. They said, first of all, they had done a study that shows that 87% of the workforce are dissatisfied and wish to emigrate to greener pastures. In 2022, we had a ratio of 1 doctor to 4,000 patients, whereas the World Health Organization recommended standard is 1 doctor to 600 patients. But then the gap has even widened further. Right now, they said the number of registered Nigerian doctors in the UK rose from 4,765 in 2017 to 10,986. And some of the things that has caused this is, they said, the weakening of our currency against the dollar. And so that makes it more attractive for them to go, because at that rate, healthcare professionals are earning 1/5 to 1/10 of what their foreign counterparts are earning. There's so many other advice that they also give. They say, especially for states and local governments, they need to attract healthcare professionals. They need to make sure that they have good healthcare facilities, good roads, improve electricity, access to potable drinking water, outstanding schools, and that will help in keeping our doctors in our country.
And one of the key things they also added was that the healthcare policy needs to also gradually transform from out-of-pocket to National Health Insurance Agency. So we need that health insurance scheme to be effective so that more funding can be put into the healthcare system and to lead to improved emoluments for our practitioners.
We'll take the RAMFAC story, very interesting in the Vanguard. RAMFAC, that's the Revenue Mobilization Allocation Fiscal Commission, has all 36 states that the State House of Assembly should make relevant adjustments in their laws to give room for upward review of remuneration package for all our politicians, judicial officers, and public officers. They said that the last time this review was carried out was in 2007, and that's 16 years ago. After the review, it is imperative that this category of office holders mentioned in the relevant section of the 1999 Constitution have a review of their remuneration based on consumer price index and all other things.
There's one interesting conversation.
We have to rough.
Placenta was stolen by nurses.
From
That's all we can take on front page review. When we return, move on to our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So today we're going to be opening our phone lines to Nigerians to hear from you about the newly appointed service chiefs by our president. Many have come with various reactions to this move to change the service chiefs all in one fell swoop. What are your thoughts on this? A few of them that we already know, like Malam Nuhu Ribadu, he's the National Security Advisor. We've known him before. In the past, he was always in the news. We have Major General C.G. Musa, Chief of Defense Staff. We have Major General T.A. Lagbaja, he's the Chief of Army Staff. We have Rear Admiral E.A. Ogala, Chief of Naval Staff. We have the AVM H.B. Abubakar, Chief of Air Staff. DIG Kayode Egbetokun, he's the Acting Inspector General of Police. And Major General EPA, Chief of Defense Intelligence. So these are some key appointments that were recently made, and Nigerians are having various thoughts on it. Some have said this is what they've been expecting our previous president to do in the first few months of his emergence as president at the time. Remember, there was a period where we were asking him to change service chiefs and nothing happened. And then we have this in one fell swoop, all have been changed. What are your thoughts? And many also saying it's the first time we're having certain people holding this high level of office. What are your thoughts, your general thoughts on this? Do you think we can set an agenda or set some kind of a plan for these new service chiefs on what to do in your communities? If you're living in Plateau State, it's a good time to call us. Let us know the hotspots in your areas. If you're living in the southeast, what are the areas within your neighborhood that you feel that you need quick attention? If you're living in the north, in the southwest, in the south-south, across the country, you can call us in. Let us find a way to give feedback to these new service chiefs based on what our experiences are on the daily. You can call us on the numbers on your screen, 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTBC so we can read your tweets.
So for me, it is any change, any change is good if it is properly channeled. So when I heard the news, I'm like, yeah, it's a new administration. We cannot expect to be doing the same thing we were doing before and want to get a different result. So it is expected that there should be change. Maybe we were not expecting it to be so radical. We did not expect that, dissolve all the boards of all the agencies, every service chief out, IGP changed, IGP changed. So maybe we didn't expect that sweeping move. But if we look at the antecedents of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he seemed to be one to make those kind of audacious sweeping moves, like I want to achieve my goal. And there is no matter how huge or positive his economic plans are, without security, we cannot achieve any substantial growth. So the security architecture of Nigeria is too important that I'm happy within a 1 month, in less than a month, he is giving it the necessary consideration. I have not done an analysis of all the appointments, but there are a few faces that we know, and I'm just happy there is change. And if they are given the free hand to do what they need to do, and there is check allowed on them, we should see positive improvements. But we do need security architecture changed.
Yeah. Someone is saying that we shouldn't go to bed. Don't go to bed without checking the 10 p.m. news, because something just always happens in the next. In evenings, make sure you watch the news, because by morning you could have just changed our flag self to red, white, red.
Like in the evenings, I think he does it in the evening so that by morning you're up and ready to go. Life has changed.
Yes, Mary, your thoughts.
But especially for me, this is important. Where I want the caliber of people that he's put in as service chiefs. We know that in the last administration, a lot of us can argue, that we don't think the service chiefs did very well. I mean, they can give their own personal report and say that, they have done well. They can give you some of their successes, but, the general thought is that we didn't do very well. We still have people being killed in their thousands, in their hundreds, almost on a daily basis. People remember we're reading paper, and it's Plateau State today, it's Benue State tomorrow, it's Taraba State. It just seems unending. People are crying and wailing. And the thing is, they're crying, wailing, they're losing lives and property, and we do not know who did it. We have not arrested who has done it. We have not prosecuted anyone. So it makes no sense. We have heard in places like Zamfara, in other states up north, they are unable to go to the farms because bandits have overtaken their communities. They are crowning and turbaning bandits because those ones have become the law in those communities. So we have a huge problem on our hands. And I'm happy to see that, you know, it seems that this administration understands the importance of doing something immediately. You're right, I do not know everyone on the list. The only name that stands out to me is Nuhu Ribadu. And I would say that his name stands out to a lot of us because as EFCC boss, he was seen to be a man of integrity. So he was perceived to be a man that, you know, it did not matter whose ox was God, he would stand by the truth. And I hope that in this case, that is how he would, you know, perform his duties. It does not matter what the big names associated with what is happening security-wise in our country. We want someone to tell us the truth. Secondly, the president had mentioned something about intelligence being the best way to fight insurgency, and I agree. I understand the weapons of war, the guns, remember the fighter jets. If you don't have the important information on how these people operate, where they are, weapons of war, the physical ones, will just end up, you know, killing the innocent and the guilty at the same time. We need to know what we've seen in the fight against insurgency so far. It seems that they seem to have more intelligence than our military in the past administration. They seem to know when our military was about to attack. They seem to know where we're headed, what our plans were. We seem to always be chasing after them. And I hope that in this particular administration, we will be ahead. I hope that, and when we see that, what will happen is that people in the community would work with government to speak up. Because one of the things that they've always said is, we cannot fight this war without the support of the community. We cannot fight this war alone. People in the community need to be able to speak up. If you see something, you must say something. But people have not said anything because they feel that when we say something, it doesn't go anywhere. We see the same people who have reported just walking around. We see people being forgiven or asked to be rehabilitated. Meanwhile, we're suffering the consequences of banditry. So when we see that people are being arrested and prosecuted, Nigerians will be willing to work with government to make sure that these people are brought to book. For me, it's just so important that this is taken seriously.
So
this matter.
This is a welcome development. With any new leadership, there must be changes because you would want to work with people who you believe have the capacity to do the work, and that takes away the excuse of that was how they were doing it before I came. We don't want to hear that excuses going forward. If you look at Premium Times online, you will see a breakdown of all the service chiefs that have been newly appointed, and they have like great qualifications. I had to just run through them. They are well qualified according to their CVs, all out there. So Nigerians who are still skeptical about the sort of people that have been, you know, appointed should go there and look at their credentials and, you know, their capacity. That's one. Secondly, we've had issues of insecurity for a very long time, and it was one of the things that has affected every aspect of the economy. So without proper security in the country, you're not able to do your farming, you're not able to go, children are not able to go to schools. We have a lot of, a number of out-of-school children running into millions because of insecurity. And so if this current administration can work on the issue of insecurity, that will go a long way for what Nigerians will get. And also, we had the complaints that, you know, I like the fact that she mentioned it seemed like the terrorists had more intelligence. They had more intelligence because there are people within our own system that were sabotaging their process. So they were getting first-hand information. This current administration needs to fish out those people within our own security, those, what do they call them? that do ofofo. There's a name for them. Spies, and there's also another name for them. They need to fish them out so that their intelligence is tight. They cannot be giving information to other people who are going to use it against us. The communities as well, who have sold their souls because of a morsel of bread, who give out their brothers and give out this information to attack their own people, need to give their lives to Christ so that we are all working together. While the government is doing what they can do on one hand, the communities also need to support.
I think you remember that General T.Y. Janduman had mentioned to us that, just like you said, that the military was complicit in more of these things. So what Tokwe also said is the fact that with these service chiefs, the change might look drastic, but the truth is that, according to Points, they said that about 100 military officers may be retired. Now, what you're doing is you're almost sucking out complete overhaul. Yeah. And hopefully that gesture in itself can restore confidence of the people to the military, because, as you said, it's a communal thing. You can't fight terror alone. We need community engagement. So we needed this trust to be earned by this singular action. You need to trust that, okay, we have a new sheriff in town. You can't even dispute who's in charge. You know, by our previous administration, we used to wonder, is he a guy? Is he a cabal? We know who the head, who is making the shots here. And it's quite interesting. So it just changes perception for the people. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, hopefully we can get some phone calls from our viewers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, so still concerning the issue of the service chiefs, there was also the controversy about where they were from. You know, many said, oh, some areas were not reflected, and people on social media was going crazy. People were having various opinions. I'd like the ladies of your view to please give us a list of where this service chiefs and where they're from.
Yes. Okay, just before that, I have to say that I thought as well, when I said,
you said it yesterday now.
Yes, I said, why are the Middle Belt states, especially for me, it has nothing to do with just quota, just to be in there just for the sake of being in there. For me, when it comes to insecurity, I feel that these are areas that are very much, affected. So I thought I would see people from Plateau, from Benue. They understand it. It's happening to them. So I was quite, it was interesting to find out that Chris Musa, that's the Chief of Defense Staff, they said that even though his birthplace is Sokoto, his parents are from Zongo Kataf. I mean, for a lot of Nigerians, just that name. Zongo Kataf, we understand the amount of deaths that have happened there, the crises that have happened there. So for me, I know that it's important for someone from there to be part of this team because they know what it feels like. So we have him from, born in Sokoto, but his parents are from Kaduna State. Then we have Reed Lagbaja, that's the Chief of Army Staff. And he is from Osun State as well. Emmanuel,
I want to talk about the Emmanuel Ikechukwu Ogala, because when the news broke yesterday and I went on Twitter and, the way many people ignorantly lie and post it on social media, misleading people into making wrongful conclusions. It's so bad. Because when I saw those messages, I also assumed that Emmanuel Ogala, because they didn't put the middle name, was from the Middle Belt. They were saying it has to be from, Ogala name is usually from Benue or from Kogi. And they kept, people were actually assuming based on the name. But the Chief of Naval Staff, Emmanuel Ikechukwu Ogala, is a Rear Admiral that is from Igboeze North Local Government of Enugu State. And it is, while I don't believe we should be focusing on the region, I think it is also important that we have inclusion, because we had a very, very, our election was very polarized along ethnicity. So when we have a new administration and things like that are now being spewed from the quarters that were promoting ethnic divide during election, coming back now after elections to still be promoting ethnic divide, I feel it is extremely wrong, and Nigerians should investigate. Please, don't just take because somebody tweeted something and you respect the person. You just take it as the fact. It is not fact unless it is backed. So,
Yes, so I like the fact that we can now say that at least the 6 geopolitical zones were covered in this. Abi, majority, somewhat, you know. So that will lay the rest of, they're trying to marginalize some of us. Nobody's marginalizing anything. Now that you have been picked and you know you are representing us, whatever geopolitical zone, whatever you're from, you're representing us, please, it's not just about capacity, because I have read, you know, some of their criteria, their CVs, and it's quite loaded. The people that are schooled in China, Beijing, in their defense headquarters and all of that, the people who schooled in different places with their loaded CV in terms of military and intelligence, it's good. But we are hoping, all right, and we are believing, we are positive towards this new appointment that you people will put it into practice. We need to see. In a few months' time, we need to see that there's progress, especially when it comes to our insecurity. We need to see a reduction of all the fighting, the ransacking of villages, the kidnapping. We need to see a reduction. We need to look back after a few months and say, thank God the president came in and made an overhaul of the whole security architecture. Okay. We are hoping, we are believing in you guys. Please go there and don't be complacent.
Right. Thank you. So we've gotten, I mean, I'm happy that we're all somewhat on the same page with the appointment, but the one that is closest to home to us is Inspector General of Police. You know, military, naval, they're all air marshal, they're all over, they're far away. But the closest to us is the new acting Inspector General of Police. That's IGP Egbetokum. Now, he said yesterday that he feels like a lion, a tiger, about to go and kill all the criminals. And we're here cheering him on, yes, Mr. Tiger. In fact, we should all call him Mr. Tiger. Yeah. Which is fine. But the truth is, how can we set an agenda for him? Because we Nigerians experience the Nigerian police every single day. And this is one of the things that led to the NSAS protest we had a few years back. So he has more work cut out for him because his work is more tangible to the average Nigerian. We can see from how they address me. You know, my own teacher always me they're dressing. Yeah. You know, if I'm going to write a letter to him, my first thing is, okay, change that uniform. But either way, I would really like to hear Nigerians talk on what are your expectations of the new acting IGP. What should he do first? We have issues of sensitization of the people, welfare of the police is important. Where they live in deplorable states, dilapidated buildings, the barracks is dilapidated. They don't have enough vehicles. There's a lot of work for this man to do. So we need Nigerians need to call in and give us an idea of what you want him to focus on. I would really like to hear your thoughts on them.
So for me, I would say
Let me pause you for a second. I have a caller, Ladipo. Good morning, Ladipo. Thanks for calling.
Yes, good morning, Ladipo. How are you?
Very well. You're live. Go ahead, please.
I think the appointment is justifiable.
Okay.
If you look at it very critically, you see that it's spread to the geographical system of the nation. Yeah. So Tinubu has started very, very well. We should continue to pray for him so that he succeeds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So I'll start by saying that the current IGP, like you said, his work is cut out for him. But the first thing I'll say is, you know, the people that you are the closest, your constituency, they are the first. You know, when you run an organization, they say your staff, the way you take care of your staff would show how your staff will take care of your clients. And so if you say staff, take care of customers, but you don't take care of your staff, they would pass it on. So the first project I would like the IGP, the acting IGP, the new person in charge to work on will be on the welfare of the police. The police needs to feel like the people care about them. The system cares about them. That they are not just. It's not even about just the government. That we're not behind the scene. We're not the least important people for you. And that will start from, and we really, if we say we should look for the money to take care of the police or change all the things that needs to be changed, we will not find that money. But I would like the IGP to partner with other private individuals, companies. There are companies that will come in and build a police station for you. There are many police stations that have been bought down. They will buy vehicles for you. It mustn't, I don't need to, as a private individual, I don't need to bribe my way because I want to donate a vehicle. And that happens currently. There are people that say, I want to give things to the police, but you need to know somebody you will call. The process is cumbersome. The police must open up their structure to say, we need help. These are the buildings that are dilapidated that we want to rebuild. These are the process to do it. If you are willing to come and donate this building to us, because there is a whole lot of work that needs to be done, and for it to be done within a short period of time that will be substantial, that we will be able to see the result, it would require all hands on deck. Yeah. But if we see police officers feeling respected by the system, they would in turn give love back to the people.
Let me take this call from Yakub. Good morning, Yakub. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning, Moya, and then everyone, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so far so good. President Bola Tinubu, he has not disappointed us because look at the appointment. He cut across the country, and then yesterday when I watching television journalist hangout. He did a background check of General Lagbaja. I was so amazing because this is a general that goes to war front. And then, in fact, yesterday I was like, wow, this is kind of president. How manager Bola Tinubu know all these guys? That's to tell you that this is a prepared president. That he really know what he wants to do. And then now, look at AIG Egbetoku. In fact, when Egbetoku was in Lagos as a police commissioner, he had a rapid response course, RRS. He did a fantastic job that time. And then I don't have that in my mind, that he's going to perform very, very well. And then concerning the housing, building a conducive environment for police, I think here is the Student Service Police Commission needs to do a lot. Because that very particular commission, and in fact, I don't know, maybe they will exist. Because you go to Ikaja there, you know that, our police security is so bad. So I know that they are going to do a lot. Good morning once again.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, yes. We also need to ask or request or appeal that the new IG fights for an upgrade of the salary of the police. The real wage that comes to them at the end of the month needs to be reviewed upwards. Not aside from that, they need to have proper insurance. They also need to have proper health care. So when that is sorted, and according to, I don't know if there's any way that they can make maybe their children to be able to access education for free. These are some of the things that will boost, that will give them that, yes, and follow up, good quality education. These are some of the things that the government can put in place, and the IGP needs to fight for it, that they get it, because if they are confident that they are well taken care of, their family will be well taken care of, whatever happens, they will put their mind into the work that they do. And I know that right now it seems like a lot of people are not wanting to get into the police because of how they have seen the police. When we're growing up, we had people who would be excited to join the police and join the army. We need to get that integrity and dignity back so that graduates who are finishing from school can read things like defense, public administration, criminal law, and all of that, and choose to work in that sector. So we need to do a lot of uplifting for them. So this is not the time, you know, what happens most of the time in organizations, this is me looking at the private sector now, is the bosses who would look after their own welfare. They will take their own bonuses and their packages, and they're not constantly fighting for the betterment of their people who are working under them. Then for those who have lost, there must be something put in place for those who have lost their lives in probably when they are in active duty, that their wives and children must be taken care of for as long as, because right now we see that sometimes after a while they send the wives out of the barracks and then they have nothing or nowhere else to go. These are some of the packages that he must begin to fight for. Nigerians want to hear him screaming that I have presented this, I have done this, they are not responding. No, you people are seeing what I'm doing. No, we want to see all of that done.
We don't want to even hear that, because
No, we
that was what we used to hear back then. They're not responding. We want a system that is responsive.
Yeah.
So as you are screaming, they are doing. So we'll hopefully, I have a call, Oluwaseun from Ikeja. Thanks for calling, Oluwaseun.
Yeah, good morning.
You're live.
Good morning. Good morning. This morning, you guys are looking beautiful.
Thank
you.
Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe I should say this, that, you know, Nigeria has the best, one of the best security personnel. Yes. I know a lot of people would not want to agree with this, but the truth is that we have the best. You know, what we have been plagued over the years is incompetence and then mediocrity in the area of leadership, you know, of our security, you know, architecture. But, you know, with this service chief, with what I can see that gone are the days of incompetence and mediocrity, because this set of security chiefs are competent, and these are the people we know. Yes, you know Tinubu. We have seen what he did as a governor in Lagos State. I've stayed in Lagos State for so many years. I knew what Lagos State used to be in the 80s, in the 90s, and then from 1999 till now, in respect to security. We know what it used to be. And then Governor Tinubu came in and transformed it. You know, he transformed Operation Sweep to RRS, and then, you know, he created trust fund and all of that. And I can see, you know, what he's doing now. You know, it started with, you know, the personnel. And then you look at all of them. All of them, they have this track record of competence.
Right.
And, you know, let's take them, for instance, Ribadu. And
Thank you,
need
Mr.
to know
Oluwaseun.
that.
Thank you very much, sir. for
Yes,
your views.
so I was going to say, since Tope and Bisa have talked about welfare, we need to talk about training our police officers. I know that we want to be positive, but also when we see the truth, we need to say it. I'm happy that the acting IGP is a lion and a tiger. So I'm hoping to see that we will have the replication of himself in the police officers that will be under him. I have seen, there's a group of police officers, especially those that we see on TV, the ones that come and speak to us, they speak well, they seem to understand human rights, they seem to understand how professionalism, but the ones we see on the road, on the streets, they seem like a different group of police officers. So there has to be, whatever it is that they're doing with these top police officers, it needs to trickle down to these ones. We need to talk about corruption. Just recently, just last week, a friend of mine, her car was stolen by her driver, and she needed to find her car. You know, she went to the police station. They were asking her for money to even get up to do anything. She had to get a private investigator who was able to trace the car. They got the car and they brought it to the police station. She needs to get her car from the police station. They're asking her for all sorts of money. Now, I'm not saying they're just corrupt for corruption's sake. There are a lot of things that are missing for them to work with. You know, so infrastructurally, too, things have to be put in place.
Absolutely.
Secondly, I remember when my husband as well was abducted, when the kidnappers let them go in the bushes and they found their way to the street, they saw a police officer in a car and they were like, we've just been abducted. Help. The man said, what do you want me to do? There's no fuel in the car, cannot carry you anywhere. They said, okay, call somebody. I don't have credit on my phone. Wow. We cannot keep doing that. So I just feel that we need to tell ourselves the truth. The IGP needs to do the important work of empowering them to do their jobs. The cars need to be filled. We need to have the cars. We need to have the weapons that they need. They need the training, how to respond to people, how to respond to situations when they come, when they're reported to the police station.
Let me quickly take. I has been holding for a while. Hi, thanks for calling from Lekki. Oh, sorry, lost the call. Yes, let me let you go ahead.
Yes, so I'm just saying that the IGP also needs to be creative. I know that a lot of these things have to do with money, but I do remember the NDLEA boss, and I know that's a smaller agency, but he said that there's so many things that they did that improved the morale of their staff, because we're wondering, well, how come we're getting so many positives, you know, you're prosecuting people, you're arresting, you're getting intelligence, what has happened? He said one of the biggest things was the morale. Their barracks were improved. Those who had been in positions for a long time, promotions had not happened in a long time, they made sure that they got promotions. They made sure that they got commensurate wages, you know, to their new positions. And that helped them. They felt that they were part of something. So that's what we need to do with the police, so that they feel that they're part of Nigeria, of the system, and do not feel that they need to engage in this tiny, tiny corrupt bribery and corruption that spoils the
Efforts.
the effort of the whole system.
Let me take this call, Kelechi from Shasha. Thanks for calling, Kelechi. Good morning, Kelechi. You're live. Go ahead, please.
I'd say I was someone. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, this thing is a system thing, just like you said. Yeah, if Bola Tinubu is an advocate of true federalism, if he can change, if he has the political will to change this constitution for us, I'll be very, very fine. I'll be very, very okay with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kelechi. Some have argued that the constitution actually does work. It's not a problem. Some have argued that is so we need to look at it, but it's great to also have a conversation around that. Some people still believe it must change. So we'll see how that goes. But there's a point I was going to make that I think, in addition to what has been said so far, the acting IGP must be very selfish at this point, because sometimes NDLA, we see the result after somebody attained that position and first of all thought about his people first.
Yes.
So you must come in and fix home, because you cannot give what you don't have. So you must first have be selfish, and then the kind of boldness the president used to appoint all of you, that boldness all should be replicated.
Yes.
Remove everybody across the levels who you believe is corrupt, who you believe is not working according to the laid down rules and regulations. That boldness, we've all seen it. Everybody's impressed with it. We hope it trickles down to all the various levels of management across the country.
So you cannot, but I can't. Just last weekend, I had a training and I saw the husband of the woman that was shot on Christmas Day just last year, because he's a colleague within the real estate space. And when I saw him and we're having this conversation, it just flashed through my head that things like that, we must not have police brutality anymore. And I know we started on a positive note because we know that there are many positives, and we would like to first recognize the humanity of the police officers before talking about the challenges that we on the receiving end as humans are getting. So we don't want police brutality anymore. And the best way is to create a very strong institutional justice system within the police force that cleans itself out. Until we have that strengthened, until we have that, people would still feel scared when they see a police officer. We shouldn't be scared to see a police officer. But when we hear stories that somebody was saying, I'm not going to give bribe, and then somebody was shot and the person died, then people will be scared when they see a police officer approaching them. So we would like to see the police clean itself inside out, and let us see it trickle down within the organization, not that the lower rungs get out of the game, and some people at the upper parts that they are accused of corruption don't get justice meted out to them.
All right, let me take Shagun from London. Good morning, Shagun.
Thank you, Morayo.
Thank you for calling.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. I'm a first caller, actually.
Your first-time caller?
Welcome to the show.
I must say congratulations to you, lady. I was watching your anniversary, the 10-year anniversary yesterday. So I was able to catch up with some of the highlights. And I really am very proud of all you ladies. And I thank God for giving your husband wonderful wife.
Thank you.
Because for some of us who are Muslims, if they say, oh, why is polygamous allowed? I'll say, yes, polygamous is allowed because of things like this. If they say, oh, choose among these ladies, I'll say, I'll take all of them. So their husband is very lucky.
Oh,
now,
thank you, sir. Thank you.
My husband are lucky.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Shagun.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I hope we didn't lose that call. Go ahead.
Yes, so we've seen, over the years, some of the actions of the police, especially the ones on the streets, like you mentioned, and it's like that disconnect is usually there compared to the people that would come and speak, and you're like, you are sounding very reasonable, you understand the Nigerian populace and all of that. So I would advise that they make mental health checks very important. I think this is according to best practices all over the world. Let's pick up some of the good things when we travel and see these things. Let's bring it here. They must be evaluated. It should be a crime that a police officer in uniform is drunk. Or drinks during, it should be a crime. And I like what the police has started doing so far. I just want to see a continuance of it. They've been punishing those people who have been going out and embarrassing them. They've been taking them through, dismissing and all of that. But if because they say when there's no law, there's no sin. If there's a standard mental health check that happens regularly, and I understand their job can be quite frustrating and hectic, aside from the Nigerian issues that holler you and, drag you up and down, you come to, man a lot of people, you interface with a lot of people with your own frustrations. I understand, and that's why it's very important that they put it as one of those things they would spend resources on, because you need to get professionals who will help keep evaluating these people so that we see a better police force. That way, our children can wake up and say they want to become, they want to go into the police. I will not say, God forbid, that kind of thing.
All right, so I think that's all we can take on this segment. But in a nutshell, the job is set ahead for the acting IGP, Inspector Betokun, and all the service chiefs. Nigerians are waiting to see your move. As we said, we appreciate the boldness of the president. We also hope that you will use that same boldness to make changes within your individual agencies, and so that Nigerians can begin to see exactly the real changes that they expect. Let's go on a break now. When we come back, move on to our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
Thanks for staying with us. Join us on the show is the Permanent Secretary, Office of Drainage and Water Resources, Engineer Nuruddin Olalekan Shodende. He will be speaking on the level of preparedness by Lagos State government to combat this year's flood. You can join the conversation at 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. So we have this conversation with you every year or twice a year or so, because Lagos obviously gets flooded in certain areas when this season comes around. It's not the first time you prepared for it, and we'd like to know how you've prepared so far to contain the level of flooding that has actually already started. We've been having some heavy rains in the last few months, and according to reports, we should be expecting more heavy rains coming into July. So how prepared are you? In which areas were you having problems with last year and you fixed this year?
Thank you very much. Well, year in, year out, we know the rainfall event is a natural occurring situation. We can't help it. It has to come. But what government usually does, like I said in Lagos, when you say flooding, well, flash flooding is part and parcel of Lagos, no doubt about it. Because right now, those intense rainfalls will come. There will be stagnation due to the way we have developed in the state. But what we're conscious of is that it shouldn't stay for too long. It will leave within a time frame, because the conveyor system cannot be made big enough to contain within that short time everything we're throwing out. But if it is free, it will eventually flow out. So government is consciously ensuring that that conveyor system is free. That is, whatever infrastructure we have in place, we make sure we maintain them to make them as free as possible, while we're adding more to the requirements to make the Lagos State flood free, in quotes. But more sustainably, what we have added this year is that, before now, we seem to be winking in the dark. What do I mean by this? Government is working, but people are not collaborating.
Yeah.
So what we've now added is that we now add, a community engagement. If we're going into any community, we'll sit down with them. We're here. You can see the machine. Come to clear this canal. Let's have an agreement, service level agreement. When I clean this canal, for the next 3 years, I'm not coming back. Don't dump into this canal. If you dump into it, you have cost the havoc yourself. So shout to heaven, we will not come back, because we can't keep doing the same thing. System 6 in Mushin, Diababa area, we clean this channel every year. It's like a dump site. We'll cut away like 50 trucks every day.
Whoa.
Yes.
50 trucks.
Almost every day. They're there. And it's so funny that when you leave at the end of the year, come next year, it is the same thing. So we are now doing, okay, fine, CDA, CDC, everybody sit down with us. we are doing this work. If you dump and if you don't monitor this canal activity, we will not come up for the next 3 years. So we're hoping that will help them collaborate with us more to police the community and make sure it's
A
sustainable.
little suggestion to that. So I like the fact that you sit with the communities and have disagreement. It should be signed on paper. yes. And penalties. Penalties will be added to the community.
If we have to come back
and you find the refuse there. So penalties will be as much as community service and jail time.
Okay.
Yes. So that, because Nigerians are usually afraid of this sort of thing. So if the CDA chairman and the community heads know that if this government comes back and they find this here, they are going to jail us. They will insist that their people don't put that refuse.
Why do you find that funny?
I'm trying to make your work easy, sir.
You know,
I know. I'm
it's
just
a
saying,
takeaway.
there must be a reason why you feel maybe you've tried that option and it hasn't happened or something.
We seem to have their buy-in because apart from monitoring the work we're doing, they have a duty to even clean the drain in front of their houses. So, I mean, some communities actually are doing this.
Right.
They will bring out their tertiary drain. We'll go and help them cut away. So because they're actually working with us, I believe they're really,
I'm not surprised at your response because I do remember there was 1 year when you came on, I think via Zoom, and I had talked about punitive measures, and you were emphatic about this is not about punishing people, but teaching them to do better. So I was waiting, my first question to you was going to be, so how far? So far. Are they improved? Are they cooperating? And then now you say that you have a system, and I want to know how are they responding to this system?
Yeah, like I said, people respond when you're with them. We've been getting good feedbacks from them. They're happy to see us, they're happy to talk with us, and they're happy to do what we're asking them to do. But like I said, we're just starting this season. So measurement of performance will happen. Yeah, it's too early to measure but where I'm hoping that our people are normal human beings that want things to happen. The present dispensation is that we won't do it all alone again. We're going to work with the people are the government. We will spend the resources, but they too have to bring their hand to make a clap with government. Yeah. That's what we're doing differently.
So there are a few questions that just came into my mind. One of the first questions I wanted to ask was concerning the fact that when rain falls, and we don't have a choice. Lagos is largely under below the sea level, so we're going to have water. We have a challenge on our hand that when we cut out the, what do you call those?
The refuse.
The refuse, we leave it on the road for too long. And we're in rainy season. Yeah. Then the rain falls and it sort of like sweeps it back inside. And it seems like we're spending money, time, and we're not making our processes more efficient to reduce the manpower and resources we're expending on clearing the drainage. But you mentioned something. You said the local governments clean and then you are meant to cut away. So
no, we have. Exactly? It's a collaboration.
Okay, so why do we now see those sales on the way and it's not being cutted away?
Let me tell you, well, like I said, I told one station that there's a guilty as charged. Yes, earlier in the year, we have our FAC team. All the ones you see on the road are the FAC team. Normally, it's not the state government's duty to clean tertiary drains. Okay. But because we have some black spots, that if you don't work on them, they will, flood the road. So rather than waiting for the tenements, which by law are just bound to clean these drains, we will move in, clean them out, and we have to cut away. But earlier in the year, we had challenges with resources, fueling, everything, trucks, but we could not do them as at when we were packing them out. But right now, we're back on the streets, we're doing what we have to do, we're now cutting away effectively. It's not normal for us to leave all this garbage more than a week, max. So for it to drain out, it has to drain out. You can't pack slurry into any truck. They allow you to drain out on one. So the best time for us to actually do our work is when there is no rain. But we won't stop at that. We have to continue. Okay, so we are not always successful, but we're trying our best to manage resources.
You gave that explanation so fast that people might miss it, because I'm just understanding that when you put it on the roadside, it is so that the water from that
drains out.
Yeah. Because my general assumption is that, why don't you just move it straight into the truck? And that's what many people on the street are equally.
These things are in slurry form. Usually in slurry form. And if you look at the way things are, if there is no refuse in the drain, there won't be any silt in it because water will carry sediments. But it's the obstacle that actually traps
Right.
to become something else. But really, actually, we're just upping the process and we're now fully on ground to be doing what we're supposed to be
Which
doing.
areas would you say you have one of the most challenges with? Like maybe because we can call out a few local government chairmen and community leaders right now, because which areas are we having the most issues with?
Well, most issues, I'll say Lagos in general, the most issues we have with flooding is not even the garbage or the silting of the drain, really. The biggest challenge, the riskiest area are those people living in low-lying areas.
Okay.
Because that I cannot control.
Yeah.
It's beyond you.
Because when you're low-lying and there's no energy to drain, the water will stagnate.
Yeah.
That has not even started. When we get to September, October, that's a peak of it. So these are the areas that are most challenging. All the upper parts of Lagos where you have enough energy, yeah, like I said, the drains are there. They might not be big enough. They can't be big enough because of the way we throw water out. The other day I came here, I mentioned you of the water cycle. This table, if it was supposed to be a land, it's supposed to be the biggest drainage infrastructure to soak up the water when it rains. But all of us, we've sealed up everything. We've cut the trees, no storage. So we're now throwing all our water onto the road. And look, there's no way you can design a drain that can be big enough for that volume. Go any part of the world you go to, you see a lot of greens. So these are what they are meant for. But we don't have those greens anymore.
Wow.
So what we're now thinking sustainably going forward is that, okay, let's use technology to reinvent that natural scenario. Whereby when it's raining, we have 5 cups here. If we put water in it and at the same time pour it on the table, it's going to splash on the table. But if we have these cups and fill the water and over the next 1 hour, we just keep trickling the water down, we won't really have any nuisance on the table. So naturally, we're working on the situation whereby every household will be able to hold the rainfall in their premises. Rainwater harvesting. Harvest your rainwater, hold it when it is raining, so that what is in the public space is that rainfall volume that is falling on the public space. What falls in your house, you're holding it.
So we do it the way our grandmothers used
You
to
can
do it.
create there are technologies you can use.
Okay.
Because you've sealed your pavement, you have soakaway tanks, right?
Yeah.
For your toilet. Just create another tank for rainfall, for the rainfall water. It goes there.
We'll channel everything to that.
Yeah, you have all these roof gutters that we do. A lot of us have in our houses. Where do we send it to? We send it out.
Yes.
Don't send it out. Put it into that tank.
And use it.
And use it if you feel, because it is cheap water.
We used to use it growing
Mosquitoes, no.
We found ways to channel.
Stagnant water attracts mosquitoes.
Sorry?
Stagnant water
is
is
fresh.
Oh, so hold on. You have water tank in your house, right, don't you?
Yes.
That's stagnant
up.
water.
It's up.
But it's
Covered.
covered.
Up.
The
Now,
one
I'm saying
down
this
is
tank will be covered too. It's not going to be opened. It's going to be covered. Because, see, Morayo, you're using expensive water for dirty things. Flushing, expensive water. Borehole, very expensive. Dirty thing. You're washing your car, expensive. You can use this rainfall water to do all this.
For the aesthetics of it. I mean, because I'm thinking about it.
It's a tank in the ground.
Yeah, but there's got to be some kind of slope for the water to get in.
Definitely.
So that slope, the aesthetics of how can I have a slope in my house?
Not a slope, not a slope that is this high. Okay, let me get an example. You can just, this table is flat.
Yeah.
Just create a groove somewhere here.
Right.
Water will flow into that groove.
Right.
Just in that drain, just go into that tank. It's engineering, it's just technology. So that when you hold that water, the road will be free. Because when the 5 of us throw our water onto the road, the road is challenged. But if we hold it, the road is free. You can drive out, do whatever you want to do. There's no traffic anymore. So if you like, don't even use the water. Let the water go into the ground.
That's money.
It's not money.
No, let's find out.
Is it
cheap to do it?
You have a soaker in your house right now, don't you?
Yes.
What will cost you just put a block wall structure in your tank, and if you don't even retain it, let it just flow into the ground. Let's recharge the aquifer. Let me tell you what about the environment now. A lot of people living on the island where you have high water table. They're drinking wastewater.
Yes.
Oh,
Smelly
so you know,
water.
thank you. So we need to recharge the aquifer because all of us are pumping water out on a daily basis.
Yes.
But we're not putting it back. So this is an effort to even recharge the aquifer. So this is what Lagos is thinking, okay, we're collaborating with the built environments people. Okay, this is what we have on the table. Once we're ready to go, it's like magic.
Right.
What I'm saying is not just a Lagos State idea, it's actually an international best practice situation. called sustainable urban drainage systems, where you bring in green engineering. All those trees that you have cut, bring potted plants into your house.
Okay.
Create that artificially create that natural environment.
Let's take that in for a moment. Let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing with Engineer Shode on the plans for Lagos.
Yes.
Miriam had a question. Go ahead.
For me, it's back to the floods. I know that usually when the floods get really bad, I think that's much later in the year.
October.
Yes, we have people who are stranded, and we go back and forth with you about, why were they not evacuated on time? So what is the plan for this year?
Well, you see, it's still the same answer I'm going to give you. What we can do is to give flood alert, early warning. We have the prediction from NIMET that has said this is likely to happen. But Lagos, as at the moment, we have some flood forecasting sites. We have weather stations, we have river gauges. The major areas that have this propensity are coastal areas, along the lagoon, along the rivers. These are floodplains that ought not be
Occupied.
Inhabited. If you inhabit these floodplains, you will need to provide for the water that you're meeting there. But for it doesn't happen. So what we tell people is, okay, when we are at that point where we're seeing that we're getting to the flood level, make alternative arrangement. Government hasn't got any facility to accommodate all people in the floodplain. The entire Lekki Ajah axis is a floodplain. The entire is at risk. The entire coast of the lagoon is at risk. The River Ogun axis is at risk. So there is no installation anywhere that we can relocate to. But people need to make alternative arrangements within that October, the November period. When it's at the peak, that's when we are expecting that there will be a peak. It might happen, it might not happen, because these are projections. But we're monitoring it, we're looking at what's. But we advise people to have a plan B, because already we are where we're not supposed to be. While we're looking at more sustainable solutions in tune with the climate change, but for now, going forward, let's make sure that we have arrangements to relocate if we have to.
Wow.
So is there any form of prevention in your plan? For instance, I know that there are still flood-prone areas that
sorry, I have to hold you for a second. I wasn't holding for a while. I'll come back to you. Shola, thanks for calling from Ikorodu.
Yeah, good morning, Ryan.
Morning.
Good morning. Ladies. Please, I just want to make a suggestion to your guests in the studio this morning. Because this issue of refuse in this part of the country is so annoying. You see, I want to suggest this, that if your guests, they can form a team, a monitoring team that will go around, most especially during the rainy season. Because during the rainy season, you see so many people coming out with their refuse and pour it directly into the gutter. In fact, sometimes I used to fight with some people in my neighborhood when I see such a thing. I would bring out my phone and threaten them as if I'm going to record or snap them. You see them going on their knee and thinking, please, if you can form a monitoring team, maybe from the local government level. So during the rainy season, they go out monitoring in the environment and all the locality. I think by so doing, it will create some fear to Nigerian man.
Thank you, Shola. Monitoring is never easy. That's man hours. That's it's not easy.
Monitor ourselves.
We need to take responsibility.
Yes. So I was asking if there's any plan to prevent people from moving. I know that some real estate developers and family landowners are still selling properties in flood-prone areas. So are you working with, maybe the agency in charge to map out some areas and say nobody should have any access to this place to avoid, spending all of your resources every year trying to advise people to move away and come back, just save some people the problem?
Lagos, unfortunately, is a magnet. People come to Lagos, between the blink of your eyelids, God knows how many people will have entered Lagos, as we're talking.
You tell this person today, and the new person comes tomorrow, and
So you see, there is a lot of demand for cheap land. And these cheap lands are the wetlands. if only we can tighten the land administration in the state, whereby Omoniles don't just sell land. Because in Lagos, there are some areas even in Lagos that people are living that we don't even know exist. Because people have built low-income houses, and these are people that have struggled to build it. So it actually has to do with land administration. And we're actually talking about it, that how can we collaborate better with the Ministry of Physical Plan and Urban Development, the Lands Bureau, the Surveyor General, that, okay, you want to build, but at least give room, let us advise you on how to live sustainably. If you are a land speculator or an omonile, like you said, bring your plan to us. Let's advise you on what, because as simple as just sand filling is enough. Or don't sand fill, just raise your highs high enough above the water level. We'll give you the data of how high your house has to be, that you won't be inundated with flooding. So at least when your house is high enough, when we come in to do the public infrastructure, it will affect your property. In some areas of the state today, for me to do my drain, their houses are low and my drains are like this. So they can't even drain it because they have built ages ago without any cognizance into what the water level will be. So when I come and now put my survey equipment and now see this is my level of my drain, it becomes a tug of war. Wow. So these are things.
I mean, it's a hard job.
Yeah, because unfortunately, development in Lagos precedes governance.
Yes.
Because before you even say, Jack, this, when does this place start again? I mean, so it's like...
Would you owe that to the poor administrative exercise of the local government? They're not as involved as they should, because how can somebody build in your community without
Thank you. So, awareness and people being forthright comes all tiers of government. The state, the local government needs to be, we need to be more forthright. The Land Bank of Lagos should be with the Surveyor General of Lagos State. So we need to monitor our land effectively.
You see, I play in this space, and we're not really. We're not telling ourselves there's a huge challenge. And because I'm a real estate developer, most of my estates are within Lagos, and we apply for registered survey. At the same time, we applied for registered survey in Ogun State, but we got to the Lagos State before Ogun State, because Ogun State, they had to come physically to inspect, to check, to measure out before issuing the registered survey. And that's the way it should be. But we now have a case where in other places, somebody would present a survey document that they did not check. So you might have a land that has like 2-3 survey documents, and it's not like all of them are false, it's just that they were issued. So there are many issues that needs to be done. It's a major overhauling. And when we point fingers, it's the developer, somebody will say it's the survey general. Me, I can say it's the urban regional planning, they are not executing. We are all still just abdicating. We do have a real estate crisis, that's why there's an opportunity in that space, but we also have an environmental crisis. So how do we ensure that we are not, in dealing with one crisis, creating another crisis?
Thank you. You see, that's why the environment is what matters in everything. Because whatever you do has an impact on the environment. So when you consider the environment in all this that you have said, it doesn't just stop with the survey. Yes, you have a registered survey. But what infrastructure will service these new areas that want to open up? The road, the drainages. Do we have a comprehensive plan for it? But what we have right now is everybody is at liberty to bring whatever layout they want to develop. But something has to bring it, harmonize it, and make it a town that is seamless. I won't say because Maria's estate is closed, your estate is closed. There must be an interconnectivity of flow, of infrastructure, of public use. But like I said, this is a reality that we're seeing, and we have to just tackle it. You see, nobody is free. Developers are not free, because I learned that even developers, you don't even see water. When you see water, you don't see it's land that you're seeing. It's the money that...
They're seeing money.
They're seeing money. So somebody said it to me. He said, well, I mean...
water?
We don't see water. This is land. We don't see water, but this is water. When you see this green that doesn't go 24/7 all year round, that is water. I mean, there's no water here now. This place is... So that was the situation.
No, funny, my brother-in-law in the US was about to pay $85 million for a land in this Lagos, in Magodo area, and he was so excited about it. He would be looking for My husband just said, let me go and check it for you. He said, I don't know, trust this guy, trust this guy. Then let me just, my husband drove there.
It's what?
Even our car couldn't enter because it was all mushy. It was just, I'm like, fraud.
So you can imagine, no, it's not
It's
fraud.
not fraud. You is Sanfil.
It's not.
We do.
You see, you Sanfil, but did you ask to what level you are to Sanfil?
Yeah.
People say, yes, in Lekki, we did raft. We did a 2.5 meter raft. Is 2.5 meters even high enough to put above the flood level?
So honestly,
technology, I mean, information is
really, even within the education, there are a lot of poor people that want to build their house. And so we need to, when we're making policies, I had to open the conversation I had with someone with urban regional planning for layout registration, and it was a list of 17 things that I needed to submit before we can get the layout approved. I can do that because I'm educated, but we are talking about people that person that is a bricklayer that had just bought one land behind where he wants to be doing his organizer. So he just built one building. Then the next thing, he will now build one more extra room. And that's how many people built their houses. So we need, how are we solving the bigger...
That is a sustainable process.
It's not a survival process.
Thank you. Now survival now becomes a challenge. You have done this thing. You have built, okay, maybe you are the first person in the area. You have built, you push the water to your neighbor. All of you built. The last man where you have now put all the water now comes. Now, because of his experience, you are seeing what the neighbor looks like. He now feels higher than all of you. And now throws the water back. You now say he's the one blocking the canal.
Meanwhile,
there was no canal, there was a wet land. So these are issues that when you are going into an area, economy shouldn't be an issue. You see, sustainable development is very important.
This is not your area, brother. But
thank you.
But let me ask you: do you think how we have all those tall buildings, all those projects in the country that we can have them go build up, high rise, build up because we spread them out in Lagos? Yes.
I grew up in Surulere.
Yes.
Surulere is not making. I mean, I grew up in Surulere, New Lagos. Yes.
No, New Lagos.
The infrastructure in Surulere is worth more than the buildings in Surulere. And that seems like so we're not making money. Government is not making enough revenue for the land we're selling. Because Lagos is the only mega city I know that is sprawling.
Exactly.
Mega cities grow vertical.
Exactly.
So, I mean, so you need, if I have 60 houses on the street, it can be in one building. I don't have to spend that money to construct that long growth to service those 30.
What are we doing to collapse?
That's why I said, like, it's not my area, but personal opinion. If I have the mantle to say, do this in Lagos, I will not look at one single land again.
Stop.
I will start urban renewal in Lagos. Let's start going vertical.
Exactly.
You don't have to need own land space. You need your own housing.
Yes, housing.
You live Lagos.
That's the space of the
I can be on your head. Everybody just stack it up.
Yeah, stack it up.
That's the space
And that's what there's a policy
that.
backing it, so you can have survey for the square meter even on the floor. They're already doing that now. You will get your CO4, but you know that you're having land.
Bricklayers are having to become homeowners. You don't need to be a landlord to survive.
Exactly. We need to
when we were small boys in Surulere, our fathers were paying rent to LEDB regularly.
But let's make sure that they are not falling apart on people's heads. That's all.
No, it will not fall.
I mean, we've had 2 cases already.
Yeah, in highbrow area.
High rise. And how they keep falling down.
We will.
The government should just construct these houses. That's their job in the first place.
Affordable housing. One of the reasons why
we have moved away from flooding.
Because many people die, the houses that the kids have gone abroad. Nobody's living there. The houses are empty.
Yes.
Empty. My brother, my younger brother now is, once he marries, the house is there. So the truth that we're all just, everybody's going abroad, living abroad. Nobody's staying in the houses. Government needs to take over this house and raise it up.
A lot of abandoned houses are
I'm just saying, we should leave that mentality of somebody's property.
Government will take over
people's properties that are just
like they'll buy it off.
Just saying that,
Back
of
to
course,
our
buy it
flooding.
off. We have to run. We don't have to. Time has
Before you put the cover industry, before they put you inside.
But you should start thinking of rates going up too.
Yeah, we have to. This is we are praying, we are working hard.
Because but a lot of developers are not even thinking of building. They just say, we have speculators, just buy land, just. So they just, you know, Nigerian investors are quick wins. Invest out immediately. No long-term investment. For us to have a sustainable, we must have access to long-term funding. Whereby I can build a house, rent it out, make money on a monthly basis, and be able to pay back in trickles into that account, long-term funding.
On that
with
note,
the present banking situation,
Don't try
On that
it.
note, we have to wrap up. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
I
you.
hope we've discussed the rain, shall we?
And we did.
This rain is really...
No, because rain will be managed when we physically developed properly.
Yes. So it's
So the rain is still coming, Abi?
Oh, it's definitely. It's God's work. It's doing good. Shuttle on.
That's all we can take on today's show. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.